I'm gonna pause the recording. Okay, recording, no problem. So then,
Call the roll or should we just state our name?
well, I think it's best to call the roll, if you don't mind. So, go ahead. So Alexa is gonna be generally the staff person for Historic District, so this is a kind of teaching meeting at the same time as it's a meeting. I hope everybody can just bear with us. And I'm sorry for anyone who hasn't met Alexa. This is Alexa Gorlick. She is our new assistant town planner. And one of her tasks is staff to the HDC. And I'll keep coming to the point we can feel as though we have a routine going. So she'll call the roll.
I just won't be able to present it.
Oh, you can't see it that far? Okay, let's try again.
Have to do minute block.
I may not have everyone.
Well, it does, because anybody who wasn't here is an excuse, so these are all we got the rain.
Should I say first and last name
Yes.
or Maureen?
So.
Sorry.
Present.
Really loud. For the recording.
John Dyken,
Correct, present, thank you.
Bill C.
Absent.
Herbert Watson,
Present.
Donald
Here.
Is there anyone else that should I?
Then do the rest of them so we can say that they're
Amy,
absent.
and Pam Peppergold? Am I missing anyone that I should?
I don't believe so. Let's just double check that nobody was added that we missed at. No. Yeah, and you do have a quorum.
And
So as soon as you
Audra
have
will be
quorum-
seated. She's normally an alternate, but I believe it's fine.
So,
You know what I do. Maureen, can we just go to the hearing?
And why doesn't somebody just make a motion to change the, actually, I'm sorry, the first thing is election of officers, that's supposed to happen before you conduct any business. So that's procedurally the way that's supposed to happen,
That was a year ago?
We went almost all last year without.
because you had very few meetings last year.
I nominate Lorraine Stowe for, chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Who did that?
Aye.
I don't think we have to do it.
Now we can write this.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, John, you second?
Second, correct, yes. You. That's right, for the next one, that's right.
I nominate Herb Watson for vice chair.
Second. Aye.
Thanks, Don.
That's all I did.
And we have clerk.
What?
We have the clerk.
Oh, you do have a clerk, that is true, we never got assigned last year, I don't think. You did end up being,
We did elect the clerk.
so then clerk will be next.
I nominate John Dyken as clerk. All those in favor? Aye. If you want, you get to experience it. Did you want anything? Did you go for anything?
I don't think we just did the year report, right? The annual
Yeah.
report.
Which I did, oh no, you guys did do it, you guys did it.
I didn't realize we did it.
It's gonna be so new, and then next year you can copy it.
There you go. That's exact, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so we're going to, we don't have an audience of citizens. We're gonna do the minutes of the system, so we'll go right to the public hearing.
What were those minutes we reviewed in the next meeting? Are we even, did we already review them November sixth?
We need to look at the December 11th meeting to see. So, but we'll have to go back and check that, but we're writing it on here so that we can check. Next meeting.
Okay, so the hearing we have tonight is HDC 2024-01, the first hearing, feature, which has Karen here, is it here? To add a covered front porch with ramp at 1034 Worthington Ridge. And this is the property owner. So you have.
Would you like to get something to say? Sure. Far away, my eyesight's not very good.
Better.
Okay. I'm Terrence, this is my wife Sarah, we're the property owners. And just a little background, we've been at Worthington Ridge for about 10 months. Prior to moving there, we owned a Victorian house circa 1890 in Meriden, Connecticut, had been turned into a 3-family house. We brought it back to a 1-family house and restored it to its original beauty, 8-bedroom. However, we adopted our daughter and we wanted to move to Berlin and raise her here. And we wanted to move to Worthington Ridge. We wanted one of the older houses, but the one wasn't available. So we bought this house at 1034 Worthington Ridge.
So I'm sharing
Oh,
that
you are.
that you sent
Great, thank you.
is on the screen,
Anybody?
but it's in your packets. Can I just ask the packet that you sent today, is that different than I already had? Okay, okay, so it is what's printed, or it should be what's printed.
And so this is the house. It-
Just tell me when to flip.
We have since painted it blue. And we have put a shed in the back and we paved the driveway. So it's a little different now. Go to the next slide, please.
Okay, hold on. Oh,
This is a letter I wrote basically saying that.
it
we,
didn't go.
That it's a colonial house built in 2002. We're aware that the addition. We're aware that the addition has to be respectful of the historic community and we have every intention to do that. So for example, we'd like to build a front porch that has some character and charm. We were thinking railings at first, but then I added more cedar siding to match the cedar on the house, so it would be enclosed at the bottom with stairs and wooden lattice. Or just cedar siding instead of wooden lattice on the bottom also. Wheelchair ramp for Sarah's mom, who lives with us. She is 78 years old and she's not doing well. She needs to get to doctor's appointments and we didn't just want to put some obscene ramp on the front of the house. We wanted to look nice and at some point, you know, down the road, if the ramp were to be removed, stairs would be put where the ramp is. So that we'd end up at some point, you know, hopefully a long time from now, there would be front stairs and side stairs where the ramp is. Next slide. So this is the property card, I guess, I got to the town, showing the dimensions. The porch will go right along the front of the house. Stairs centered on the porch, 34 by 8 feet. With a roof on it. And the ramp would be approximately 17 by 4. Just enough to have a gentle slope down to, there wasn't too much pitch on the ramp. For her. So here is, we're considering your consideration, see the clapboard to match the house instead of open railings. such as some of these homes at Worthington Ridge on the left, they have cedar clapboard on the bottom.
Is that your house?
Yes, in fact, my wife met you.
Okay,
Did you come around and then take a closer look at some of the homes?
Robin,
I,
is Robin your?
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, you met her?
No.
Oh, okay, so
Yes,
yes,
my
I
wife
know.
know Ron, yeah.
So actually,
So lovely.
yours is the porch we
Blue.
most want to copy.
With the side and.
The best we can. And it was, of course, you have a three-story, I'm sorry, and ours is only two, so that we have to work within what we have,
We also
We-
can't do the triangle because it doesn't match the
it'd be a
lines of our house.
the window, the triangle would be centered on this window here. And it would
Oh.
not, it would block the window.
It would not block it.
No.
Oh.
It might block the window,
Did-
we're not sure.
This side?
One other thing we have been thinking about, and this is I brought a shingle to match, this is what's currently on the house. But we were thinking about, getting a, it's called, coated stainless steel roof or copper roof. But if we did that, we would want to do the rest of the house at some point, re-roofing, so it would all be, metal, like, coated stainless steel, they call it,
But you're not bringing that in as any part of this now. So
no, and it's very expensive. That's right.
we should say stainless steel.
What would be, and we would have to do the entire thing, so. To make it match, wood, prime pine, line of Millard. And this is, also a cedar clapboard. So it would be all wood and, architectural shingles.
Want me to go to another, or do you want that one?
What was the beige siding that you showed us?
This is, cedar clapboard.
Okay, the one before.
Oh, this is architectural. Oh, this one, that's primed pine. As,
That's the timber.
yes, as
Okay.
opposed to
Yes.
AZAC or something else, which is a lot,
Or,
it's a lot more expensive, but also not really appropriate for the commission and for the community. So this is an example of a house very similar to ours. Actually, they have a triangle on there, so that might be something that we can do. It does block.
I say, you can get the pitch of the neighbors in under that window.
Yeah.
You should be able to get a dormer style for about 190 degrees to that.
All right, sorry, I should have said that.
That sounds great.
Oh, that's-
We have,
I'm not sure it makes a difference ultimately. It is a better look.
It is a lot, I agree with you.
It's more common. I think.
we've come a long way, and we did not pay bottom dollar for houses, and the market last year was. We're here to go all the way. We want to increase the property value. No way would we do anything that's less than. It's the front of the house. Has to look
To that end, you'll
Yes.
notice in this example
Mhm.
that it's a double pitch on the side, so you have a slope to both the left and the right, as well as the slope to the
As
left.
opposed to.
Whereas the earlier cartoonish image, if you will, the one where you've drawn over the picture, seems to look like it would just be a straight side that you would have, you know, presumably clapboard or cedar shingles in this shallow triangle like this,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I had, but if you go back to the roof that we were just looking at. The greenhouse. Not that one,
Yeah,
that's the roof we want to put on.
Okay, so the
It would have-
diagram, if you will, it's not representative of that.
You didn't have that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, and I should have.
I know, 'cause I-
Clear that, but I,
This is certainly a more, for the period, it sounds like you're trying to do with this, this is a more.
that
It's
roof
very
or
contemporary.
yours would be, the one that.
And ours has a similar style,
Yeah.
but it's double pitched on the sides, rather than simply a shed roof, which. You know,
Not going there.
doesn't have the same appeal, that's good to know.
Next slide. Just another example, same style, only without the triangle. Dormer in the middle, but the same exact style roof. And also very similar type house, 2 stories. And an attic. Wooden decking, of course, no tracks. Painted to match the house, actually, the decking would match the front door. And the cedar, yeah, would be like so there'd be white, dark blue decking. And white trim on the posts. Frame posts.
The lattice that you had mentioned, you had it labeled as wood lattice. Your intention is to use real wood. I know the
Correct.
PVC stuff is common for all the right reasons, but that's
would
not in
be-
your planning at all.
Nope, it would be wood lattice or sticking with just bringing the cedar poplar all the way down, like I think, yeah.
We actually have cedar wood.
Okay, so on the bottom, yeah, wood cedar,
Yes.
wood chip, the bottom, okay.
Cedar.
But that's wood
I
lattice
will
there.
point out that a lot of the cedar clapboard that you're gonna see has. It's constructed from pieces. There's a word for it. It doesn't come to me.
It's finger joint.
Finger joint, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it's finger joint. One needs to be careful. The cedar is very weather resistant, but finger joints are not. So if you go that way and you take it all the way to the ground, the splashing over time will give you probably a premature failure.
So on the bottom.
Whereas the
probably
cedar
front
shingle,
door.
if you were to go with the cedar shingles, there obviously there are no seams. Yeah, between the shingles. They tend to survive a lot better.
We'll probably do a pressure treated board
What's
around
that?
it.
You're not gonna see the shimmer thing around.
That's true, so it introduces a completely different
Yeah.
texture, but that's, I'm not sure that's
Well, we're there,
part of our decision making, but it's
No, but we're
discussion
there.
you might find helpful.
and I'm gonna talk to Robin tomorrow morning. I saw you have a coffee.
You will
this morning
not,
out
we have
there.
a flight that's leaving at 6 AM, so we go out for a couple.
They're at fun.
Yeah.
So we saw this, this is, we're in love with that also. This is just another example of a similar type house with a front porch. So you can see that it doesn't look odd. Appropriate. These are just examples of historic homes on the ridge that just happen to have covered front porches. That we also like, which is this one.
They are almost across the street.
These are all our neighbors. We're all right here. This house. This one directly across the street, we almost bought that. That's the last one. I'm sorry for offering to buy your house the other day from your wife.
She didn't mention that.
I'll tell you, okay. Alright, so that's where we are. Want to do a good job. We really need this for Sarah's mom, but we would like to enjoy it also. There's no doubt that we want it for other reasons than just getting her to her appointments, although that right now is the immediate concern. This would be something that we might want to put off and work on something else. But this is taken precedent over any other projects that we want to do.
Because of. I just wanted to introduce some background, because I also went to the Historical Society, as you know, so we have a lot of old pictures of houses on Rivington Ridge, and a lot of them that were colonial houses, you know, similar to what yours is a replica of. During the Victorian age, they added these layout porches and all kinds of gingerbread and everything on it, and most of them that come to mind that look like your house, eventually the porch wore out and they removed it. There's a house right next to you that the Brady's lived at, you know them. So when I was growing up, that house had a huge porch in front. She showed me pictures of it. Well, it was funny because I knew the family that lived in there forever. And they took down the porch and they didn't ever put it back up again because they wanted to go strictly like colonial sparse, you know, what it looked like originally. So when Sam saw the pictures, she said, "Oh, you want to have the porch again?" And I said, "Well, the Dorans had taken it off because they wanted to be original." And what I suggested instead is that we do that side porch and make it very simple. and I guess they really like it, you know. But I just wanted to interject the background because a lot of the houses that do have porches now are kind of Victorian era, which was like the later 1800s. But there is some like history of houses like this having had porches during another era. And I know your house is a newer house. It's not like we're trying to protect the original elements or something, but I wasn't on the commission when this house was built, but I think the intention was to have it colonial. But then the house next, on the other side of you was built, which was like a colonial at all. I wasn't part of that decision, but
And the one in back, I think 3 houses were built on that plot.
yeah, because there used to be a huge Victorian mansion with the Wilcox family. And when they tore that down, they built a ranch house. That was before the Historic District was formed. And then later on, that land was divided up and your house was built and the house next to it.
And they took one of the rooms out of that Wilcox mansion and it is now in the Met, New York City. You can see one of the rooms.
Are you sure it was from this one? House?
Well, maybe it was the Meriden Wilcox person.
I think it was a Meriden Wilcox.
I thought they were the same people now. Okay.
They're probably somehow related,
Okay.
but I remember like the Meriden Historical Society had a thing about that house and talked about how it got moved to the Met. Oh, just
You're the wrong
forget it.
people to try to inform on these. Sorry.
Not all of us. Lorraine is.
Well, I know all the history. I'm not so good about building materials.
We were very much passionate patriots about the home that we came from before we moved here. And the Meriden Historical Society, we have the utmost respect for the commission, we're trying to preserve.
I appreciate that.
And, what we do will be with, fidelity. That's all.
Our former neighborhood was called Bankers Row in Meredith, it was in downtown. You do? And. You know, still when the houses just became multi-family and neighborhood kind of. Fell into disarray and disrepair, and so we do understand the desire to.
We're the last of the Mohegans.
I don't think you can.
Sorry. Anyway, well, that's where we're at.
Appropriate. You're okay.
I don't have anything else to offer. Do you have questions for us?
So,
Are you intending on putting the little window here over in your garage? Or no, it's all this. Okay.
That-
Maybe someday, but.
That's a bathroom. And we're, what little window?
Here, this is your garage?
Yes.
Not in this house over here.
Oh,
when
they have a window.
The dormer, yeah, above ours. In the
Yeah.
dormer, it's not,
Oh,
ours is in the back. Okay.
I actually wanted to add a window someday, but I'll have to come back and ask.
Even
Whole nother day.
there, no.
Do it all at once.
I wanted to put a window, I use a bathroom now, I want to put a window in the bathroom, but that's a whole nother application.
You mentioned the stair center, that you showed the photograph. What are you thinking for stair construction, of wood or, how do you see both on the page? A lot of
Yes.
brick, some concrete, and some wood.
I'm thinking it would be wood, that's it. So, I was thinking, either pressure treated 2x12s up into stairs. Or, wooden decking coming down the stairs, but I know it has to be wood. Exactly, you know. Yeah, and, see,
Well, it could be brick though, right? That's what they're.
that will be demolished.
Could be.
I mean, we we haven't really gotten that far, but we're also in the front yard, we're thinking about putting a little pathway down to the slate pathway. Down to the slate sidewalk.
So
I
I'm
don't-
not sure, when you need to know about the stair construction, is how they record it, or is there any aspect? I mean, I think it would make sense to avoid concrete. Oh, there's some of that on the.
Can I make a statement and say no concrete?
No,
down
okay, that's good.
We
And
don't
I
have
guess the
to-
other thing is that, I'm not up on the latest code. In some cases, open rising is permissible on the code, decks, this is not like that. I don't think it's permissible in interior lots, but the open rises is a very contemporary look. And as you know, we would like to have.
I think exterior has, when we did our deck, we had to, it was open, but when we redid it, the building department set the code now is it has to be closed.
Has to be, okay.
So you don't.
That's all. That's all I would say. I'm not necessarily.
Yes.
I think it might have to do with the height. How high you
what
are,
that goes,
yeah.
Or
Yeah,
how high each riser is.
no, how
The
how
total.
far off the ground you are as to whether the back has to put, I think that might be older code, but I think just may go to, you know, if you have 2 steps,
If we
carte
could,
blanche, if you have as many as need a railing or as many as need the next level.
if we could go to this slide, yeah, it's one of the historic homes.
You know, Terrence, that house you're pointing out right, but you were doing,
Yes.
that's on the northern end.
Oh, that's not
Wellington
historic.
Ridge. The historic district starts at Mill Street and
Okay.
goes south.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
It just looks,
So
I'm
that's
pretty
not-
sure it's a very old home now.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I
Is
like.
this the one that was
way-
just redone?
I-
This is the one that was redone
Just recently.
a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And they're trying to sell it now, for sale.
The porch we're looking for, and this is a wraparound porch, the porch we're looking for is, it would definitely have enclosed on the sides, it would be. Probably enclosed with clapboard or lattice, I mean, that's the only way to go. Yeah, that's how people, I mean,
Well, I was for, this is just. I'll say it's my opinion, not necessarily. But leaving the risers closed, whether it's closed or not, would definitely be, in my opinion, much more akin to the style area.
and also adding value to the home. That's,
Clearly, well, I think anytime you can stay with that, clearly look there. Attributes of the ridge that's favorable to a lot of people.
so, yeah, and definitely no concrete enclosed stairs. And we could be back here in a year or two. And, you know, we want to set a precedent, you know, with this project. How we move forward, going forward, you know, with anything else. Because there could be other things down the road, and we want to make sure we do this. With integrity and fidelity. That's it.
Yeah.
Building this yourself.
Yeah, in contract.
Would you have a question?
I just wanted to kind of make a reminder, and it's for our administration as well. So typically, what I've seen the commission do is be very specific. For the materials, the finishes, the trim boards, etc. So where it says railings or cedar. If it was railings, you typically identified the type of spindles. And the railing, you know, whether it's wood on top or, you know, natural or, you know, whatever. And or have the applicant pin down which of the either or then said. It can be either this or either or that, but very specifically, same with the lattice below, is it lattice? Or not, you know, got that decision made so that when the staff is administering the permits, et cetera, we aren't guessing. As well as one of the things I noticed in the different pictures is when you go I get to these, the area here or on the next picture, it has kind of a trim board. I'm not one to know all the correct terminology, but that has this, and then you have some of those more Victorian style houses that of course have more gingerbready things, so also pinning that down as to whether those belong there, don't belong there, or what is approved versus proposed, approved, not proposed, et cetera, just working through the details now.
And I think we're really.
if the
interested in-
generalities have been addressed.
And we're really interested in hearing what you think, because we don't necessarily know what, if it was Victorian, we could tell you.
I only chose
Their
that photo
experience.
because it's, has 5 windows on the top and it's too.
It's all symmetric, that's like colonial, everything was symmetric.
Yeah,
And
So we'll go to that one
same
then,
thing,
you know.
5 windows, that sort of thing.
So
But I-
That would be fine, that would be perfect. That style, and the would be, I guess you would call the railings, that's, what was second, rectangular railings. Very simple, as opposed to those only ones, rectangular railings.
Which is
I would like, well, it's, they're like rectangles, they're just very straightforward. But,
The balusters. you
yes,
mean?
the,
as opposed
windows?
to being.
They are
as opposed to.
they're not turned.
They're not turned, not turned, yes.
But rectangular, not a square,
Correct.
not square.
Well, yeah.
Rectangular prisms. But, I know I wanted to leave it open where we can partially enclose the bottom, such as, with the cedar. I mean, would you like me to nail it down now? I'm gonna let you go with it. Would you like to nail it down? You want cedar clapboard on the bottom, or would you like railings? I don't care either way. Cedar clapboard, please, if you'd like to, just forget the rail, clapboard all the way around with, just the.
You mean,
Exactly like the property. Right here, well, only it's, this property, I'm gonna tell you, this property, it's, I'm sorry, I forgot your first name, sir.
Don,
Don and Robin's house, they have cedar shake, do we call it cedar?
no, sure.
Cedar shingles, okay. But instead of cedar shingles, cedar clapboard. That's it. That's
so
all we
like the
get.
greenhouse.
The blue one on top.
It goes all the way down to the ground as opposed to spindles and then.
And he has side stairs, we would have a side ramp instead. But that's what we're going for right there. That's pretty much it.
So the ramp would have railing.
Oh, yes, have to. That's where we're going, but it would only have, Don and Robin's house here has 2, it actually has 3 sets of stairs. So we have the one in the front. And the one on the side. For the rep, and then, yeah, so there'd be nothing on the other side, on our left side of the screen.
It makes no difference. For the public, we go back far enough. Originally, that could continue on the left side. And we portion of the way on the left side. On the Right side, it's a carport. So things have changed there over time, but the work that was done to remove that was done well. We maintained the architectural.
But do you want the, I don't know if that's called, is it called a pediment, like
The triangle in the
the
front,
triangle thing?
we would like the triangle in the front and.
Over the
and this-
stairs.
Yes, a smaller one than Don and Robin's, obviously, because this is a much bigger porch. So it's a larger porch, I think it's 10 feet by. The parts of it are 10 feet. I measured this porch.
Yeah, with a full width of the house, which is about 30 feet.
It's not creepy. I mean, it's your house.
With consent.
No, not at all.
Do you have questions? Because I know you always have opinions about, your good opinions about things. Are you continuing?
No, I think you've done a good job on confronting the neighborhood, because our mission is. Along with style and building materials, is to blend it in with the rest of the historic district. And you've walked down the ridge and taken a lot of pictures and made an effort to blend it in with. Rest of the neighborhood. It sounded like you settled on Don's house and Robin's house.
In the park.
I prefer to see railings in the front, but it seems like you like the cardboard solid. Which I can. I mean, in my mind, a porch, like Lorraine says, is a 19th century add-on. Houses didn't have porches in the 18th century. So we don't have anything to really compare it to. And So sticking a porch on an 18th century house is in commonplace. It's whatever era in the 19th century you want to pick, I guess. It's okay. And I like that you said that everything is on the board. Like, future plans, copper growth is going to take some consideration with this committee. But you don't have any other copper this time. Historic district.
It's,
One in the house next to you, but that's a completely different style house.
yeah, there's a stainless, black, powder coated stainless steel roof on Hudson,
On Hudson.
wait a second, yeah, Hudson, yes, Hudson, as you turn,
It's on the corner of Hudson and Richmond.
sort of, there's like,
On the north side.
right behind the old post office.
Yeah,
Big
that's
white,
different.
black.
She used to be on the commission.
Yeah.
And it had a tin roof before, so there was like a history.
Okay.
of that.
It's beautiful.
And then the house on the corner of Sunset and Worthington Ridge, that's a Philly Taylor and
Mhm.
that, their porch, I think, has a stainless steel roof. I remember.
Black. Same thing.
But for now, and that would be, like I said,
Right.
it's entirely different, we have ideas about where we wanna go.
Mhm.
Because it has to, also has to not only match the historic. Community, but it also has to match what's already there, and what's there right now is unfortunately architectural shingles, so. We're gonna be going with this.
But it's actually helpful to know that that would be maybe problematic. Because we don't know going in what will be concerning and what won't. And since we saw it on other houses, we thought maybe the same as still wouldn't be an issue. So,
The spindles question, that's important. Because you probably didn't do this, but there's directions you could go in the architecture.
more Victorian.
No, too modern, the type of thing where you face screwing to the upper and lower rim. Yeah, that way out, as compared to inset into the upper and lower. And, you know, there were some code issues around setting that up so that by pushing from the porch, by pushing on the rail, you were putting the screw in tension, the rail would come off. But you see it done the opposite way sometimes, which is architecturally this is bad, but it's safer. And that's where you mount it as a flush mount, but on the inside of the rail. And I would say either of those, again, my opinion, if we listen to the discussion, either of those styles just wouldn't be a fit for any time, the early 20th back through whatever the 18th century.
Yeah, we're not building a deck, we're building a porch.
So your spindles would be inset into the upper and lower railing?
We've made, I think we've committed that we're gonna be doing, siding, cedar siding instead of.
Yeah.
Talking about railings.
Yeah, I did say that, and that would be across the whole thing. you're
Right.
talking. Yep.
So,
Except
like-
for the ring.
But not the ramp.
Not the
Right.
I think there's
Oh.
still spindles on the ramp, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
oh, okay, oh, yeah, well, the ramp's gonna need railings, I really haven't, that hasn't, you know. The safety is the more what I was thinking, and I'll be honest. Sorry, but, the ramp may only be for a couple of years.
That's
So
what happened.
I know, I'm
Probably-
pretty
Thank you for making it.
sorry.
We do. So I guess what if if on any aspect of this you go to my recommendation, I'm not sure whether this be part of the record, maybe it's open to discussion. You know. Across the commission, we do that like modern assembly should be avoided.
Yes,
Are you sure you understand what he's saying?
I'm
Right up.
definitely, well, what he's saying is match the ramp to the style of the porch and to
The railing.
the rail, sure.
Right, too. What I'm referring to is that you have the lower railing and the upper railing. Spindle. It's just flush mounted to it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, that's all.
And it's a very inexpensive way of doing it, but
Not
it's,
this way.
No.
Not
Yeah,
this way.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I see.
it's
Okay.
very good.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's.
That wouldn't
That wouldn't happen.
Oh, and the stairs that go down the front to the ground
Yes,
level, the railing on that, I know right now you have like water or something.
Horrible, yeah.
Let's just really happy done. So what are the railings gonna be,
Wooden rail,
the new series?
wooden railings. They would have to, you know,
Or would they be similar to the railings that on the handicap ramp?
we haven't thought about that yet, but yes, I mean, like, well. We were, when we said clapboard, I guess we're thinking clapboard all the way around. If you look, go to any of the porches that have, see the clapboard, do they have railings? I haven't really get that much detail, but if you go a little. So this one doesn't have anything, so if you look at,
I
okay,
don't think they have any.
um.
They're not high enough.
and,
You don't need it?
And that was on.
oh no, we even need railings. We need something to grab.
That one probably should have a railing, but doesn't seem to, so it probably pre-existed that requirement.
Yeah. So that's a.
That one's not enough
Yeah, no.
steps.
We're thinking
That's it.
just, you know, posts and, railings coming down, we could come down with. We come down with clapboard, we could, you know.
Kind of like a sheet or something.
I've gotta ask the question here now that I've seen this drawing as well, and I've gotta ask the commission, so. This one has this opening at the bottom of the clapboard, which I would
That's
imagine
before.
on, right, but one of, at least a couple of the others, it went straight down. Does that matter to the commission? Where it's solid all the way to the ground versus, and or the applicants, whether it matters to have that. You know, I know that traditionally how you wash off the porch or what have you, that could have the little.
I was thinking
Outlets,
about some kind of a
but-
space or.
they could have outlets, but these are those details that when I get the building permit or our department gets the building permit, we're looking to see that it matches precisely or we'll hold on it.
That's always the things like, you know, that later people do things that they haven't really considered that.
So I kind of feel like for their proposal, it's really important to, because there are a lot of details that need to be considered to go either from the ground up or the roof down, just to address these elements of the construction.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
I'm starting to you know, definitely, see, the thing about railings is. And, you know, how well you do it. It allows water to escape, right? I mean, it's important to have water sitting on there. I did look at your porch, I was actually wondering how it worked.
I can tell you what they did, it's extremely fine grain first. Just simply doesn't go the water. You have two stairways. Now, there's no scuttles, I think it's scuttles, the way you have intermittently openings in the side for the rain to come out. There'd be some slopes to kind of move in that way. I think it's scuppers, yes, I think you're right. You're right. So that's how it's been done, and I have had to replace some of that flooring in kind.
Yeah.
I use pressure treated lumber, and I had to router to a thinner condition in order to overlap the beams of the maybe the same height. At any rate, today they would use pressure treated lumber, I guess, I'm not worried about it.
Well,
They still sell that. That was correct.
The real clear, fine grain stuff.
Fine grain, fine quarter, that was for, sure.
but it does tend to rot though, doesn't it?
Pardon?
Does it tend to rot?
Well,
Well, maybe after 40 or 50 years, I think some of the stuff I was replacing is pretty good.
All right, well,
But it's, you know, as far as, you know, a porch floor is pitched, has a pretty good pitch to it, it's not flat.
So if we go with the cedar clapboard, and I should have talked to you more about this, more about that, we would have to put a few scuppers along the way. Basically, they're just cutouts where the water, they would be just little cutouts. I mean, we're not gonna, you know, I mean, on a roof, they're a little more.
you don't have a photo of it, I don't think, of your collection, but the house directly across the street from the house has that approach.
And then with
It's a
the,
solid sign that comes down and they have the scuppers. Thank you.
um,
Would you consider nailing all this all the little details down for us? Cause you've got some nice pictures, but.
Yeah.
Your description of what you're gonna do is pretty vague.
Well, originally we were thinking about railings, and now that we're talking about all this, I'm starting to think that railings might be good.
Well,
Easier
I
to
think
walk
you need to give us a detailed plan of what you're actually going to do, not what you're thinking about, but what you're going to do.
Well, I think some of it was that we really needed, we weren't sure what was going to be okay with the commission and what you were gonna be concerned about. So we didn't get too detailed in our thinking yet, because we are open to doing different things.
Okay,
But I mean, I'm making a list of all the things that we're talking about now. It sounds like you're saying though that spindles would be okay. So the option we would have to nail down, we'd have to spindles versus the clapboard. And then is there a gap or are there scuppers? That's one. What the railing and the steps leading down would look like, what the steps would be made of. And the triangle over the front door roof area. Are those the things that we're still in?
and the materials you're using for all that, we do like original wood material. We have allowed composite decking. People have come to us for that, and we let that. When people use composite decking, I don't personally like it, but.
We were thinking, pressure treated wood.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's because if we could have done, track stacking, we probably would.
Yeah.
Because it's so,
Well, we have allowed that.
we thought that would be shot down immediately.
I thought so too, but it turns out.
Okay, well, we won't
didn't
ask
really
for
know
that.
But,
Especially when our chair lady wanted that.
all right. So
Not our current chair lady.
I'm more than happy to, I'm more than happy to make a stand and stand by it and honor it, whatever we put. Oh,
Well, we need to know what you're gonna do.
right, and I'm willing to write that down now and sign to it. My mother-in-law, we wanna get, we need to break ground,
Okay.
like, for her, one way or another, we need to make something happen. It's unsafe right now to go down the stairs this way. So, can we just, are you okay with that?
Is that
I'm
okay? Can we
I'll do
make
whatever needs
commitments
to be done.
and it's on the record? Is that enough? Is that adequate?
We've done that before. They lock stuff down and then do the meeting and then capture it. In the record.
So I just wanna say you'll probably, if that's the route taken, very likely the commission will, have this all defined. You'll be working on your framing, your footings, your, all kinds of things perhaps before you finish putting up that railing or what have you. And we might hit the next month's meeting where if you need to, come back and that that's
Be
not,
okay if we-
it's not a site of of course, it's the commission, they can lead you better than I, but. This is a public process.
Sure.
So you can reapply or apply for a modification and,
Is there a
and
form to do that?
it would be the same form. And we would need the time to put it in the paper, so it would have to be about 2 weeks prior to the meeting that. A little more than 2 weeks actually at this point because of the newspaper headlines, but.
So, like, we can have
Monday. Yeah, for me to get it into the paper in time, it would be the best the Friday before, Thursday before that. Instead of 14 days, just add the weekend.
This is
that-
Because I have to send it to the
That-
paper on Friday to
Or
be
you
posted
describe-
Wednesday.
okay, I mean, the other option, you described it pretty well, if they find all of the options.
That's what
Which
my
is
suggestion
okay.
is
That gets
to,
really complicated.
Well, why don't we do the best we can and then.
in
we'll
case
start-
you hit a glitch,
Yeah,
I guess that's what
yeah.
I'm talking about, in case you hit a glitch. Right, and then you can certainly start the process, should they approve it, what you propose. Again,
That would,
that's up
be
to
great.
the commission to approve, not me.
This phase one is, site work, moving some plants forward or eliminating them altogether. We have some shrubbery in front. That will have to get moved. That one on the end on the right does not have to be moved, but there's obviously the one right where the porch is. We would have to remove, and then obviously, concrete work and, some landscaping, so,
Okay, so what we have to decide then is cedar clapboard or spindles on the top.
on the, for the board.
Not the bottom part, yep.
Big, for the bottom of the case.
So the options would be the spindles. Or, clapboard with scuppers.
I love the idea of the cedar clapboard all the way around.
With the scuppers.
Yes,
Okay.
love it. I mean, it would look the part, and it would also match the clapboard on the property. And it would just really dress up the house. That's what I love. If we can do track stacking, I would like to do track stacking, but, I'm not, to me, it's not, the wheelchair ramp.
Well, what you were referring to predates my involvement with the commission, but I mean, there's composite materials and composite material. They do make, the red home. As, I believe that's the one, has a composite thing, but actually model that.
It's all a compromise.
For flooring, I mean, it's designed to look original as compared to the rounded edge, 6-inch wide composite, which. It's hard to.
Another negative thing from personal experience about trucks and things that go over that. It gets so dirty. And we have it on our back deck. And Susan Steen was on their deck, they did it too. And she said, you have to wash it constantly. Mold builds up on it and dirt tracks in, and even if we power wash it, like a week later, it's dirty again.
I
So
think it's
that-
actually also very slippery. So while it makes sense in the back where you're not walking as often in the winter,
Mhm.
it makes less sense, I think, in the front where you're gonna be walking year round.
Let's write it down. Let's do pressure treated wood
Just
decking.
crossed it
Let's
off.
write this down.
What?
You're in charge.
Not even,
Let's
okay.
write it down.
All right, so we've got,
Yeah.
so we're gonna do cedar clapboard, what we're asking for is cedar clapboard with scuppers.
All the way to the ground.
All the way to the ground,
Um,
or did you want?
okay, all the way to the.
No, no, I'm asking. I'm
Wow.
just trying to get that bottom section.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm just wondering if it goes on, with the height of that would be.
Cedar clapboard with lattice on the bottom. I don't think anyone's gonna mind if we change it to cedar clapboard down the road. But with lattice is just.
Okay,
much
and
more
then-
Cost effective on the bottom part.
so you're saying,
And that would blend in well.
so you're saying lattice, and then if in the long term, we ever want us to update it, we could come back and. Probably wouldn't be a thing to change it to the platform. Yeah, okay, okay, so then yes to the triangle over the door.
Absolutely.
It
And
would measure the size of,
tapered, it's called I think it's called a tapered roof on the sides, tapered on the sides.
Hip room?
That's not it.
The hip roof is like
Well, it's all down, is that what you mean? Where the ends fall off?
Yeah, that one.
But not which drawing are we on?
Okay.
Yes.
yes,
Have a hip roof.
I'm sure there's a technical name.
I'm sure there is.
And we're talking about here, or we're talking about here,
On the left and the right. I think it's,
here and here.
yeah, see how it's,
Okay.
see how it goes in like that on the sides.
oh, I thought,
She was talking about the pediment, the rest of you were talking about the roof overall.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm glad you, all right,
we need that.
so it's, what are we saying that is the tapered roof on each side?
A taper is called half a hip, is that what you said?
Oh, half a hip.
Actually,
Well,
take
that-
that up.
That's my, yeah, I made that up.
Oh, okay.
Tapered.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's the same
With
way.
triangle dormer in the middle, center triangle dormer.
Yeah, well, yeah. or-
How about the,
You had it right.
If I could.
Hip roof is the correct term. even if it's only a budget, it's still.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
tapered roof.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah, well, thank you. Perfect.
Okay, so then the pet,
Same framing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's the only thing complicated framing. I wouldn't mind doing that.
So can we talk for a second about the detail of this triangle over the door?
I think it's called the dormer triangle. What it's
I
called.
think it's.
I'm just wondering about trim, et cetera, if the commission has,
This right here.
oh, the nice wide, a flat, wide trim door.
Prime, I think they
so
call
it matches the rest of the trim in the house.
That's what we already have, that's why. So,
That initial
Uh,
putting in the triangle.
Let's see if I can get back to your picture.
I think it was done.
Right there.
Okay. Materials are pressure treated, triangle. Yep.
We'll pay attention.
Okay, I think those were the only, oh no, we didn't decide what the steps are gonna be made of and the step railings.
Pressure treated wood, and wood lattice on the sides.
Would we on the side of the stairs?
To come up stairs,
Wood.
like how you enclose it, or with wood.
No, you wouldn't enclose it with the railings.
I'm talking about the bottom, so like.
Turn by instead of the.
Under the
you pull onto
steps.
when you
Yeah,
walk.
right,
Oh.
I'm saying,
So-
I'm saying all the same material from on the wood lattice would then creep over to the.
Here to the
That's
side,
not wood.
this part,
I was thinking,
This.
not
pressing
the,
up the
railing.
stringers is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, the stringers are not.
Coming down here. This side is coming down.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I
go
did.
up along the
It's
stringers.
size on the side of the street.
Right, check this one out.
Yeah, that would be kind of strange, wouldn't it? Because
Yeah, and this ladder.
Yeah,
is
right.
gonna come down on this.
On the side.
On,
on the sides of the stairs is what they're suggesting.
To enclose the
Yeah, it
stairs.
seems kind of strange, but I mean, it's.
Or you
Why
have
don't
to
we just
enclose
put,
it to keep.
like,
Or enclosed with wood.
Look at the Victoria Cross though.
That one?
Well, no, but that actually works.
give me a better one, that one?
Yeah, you can't really see that one, no.
I'm sure it's enclosed with something.
Yeah. One of the things that on the side.
See how the stringers are not
Nope.
closed here, that's
Just
just the
particular, it's on the sides. It's
No,
enclosed in
that's not what
stairs.
we're talking, we're talking
That's what
about,
I'm
there's a,
saying.
railings on the side.
No,
Oh,
there,
right underneath
But
the
that's right.
stairs.
this is where we're talking, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
That would be enclosed with something.
something else potentially.
How about wood?
Yeah.
Say pressure treated wood?
To the,
I have no idea. I-
whole
don't
stair
look at me.
face
Oh,
is made out of
you all right.
pressure treated wood. I don't know why you have.
It can be enclosed with
Is there
section
a-
111, it could be
Right.
enclosed with.
Just below the stairs?
Yes,
On the
and
side?
I think
Yeah, honestly.
you'd be covering portion of the stringer
Yeah,
and down to the ground and down to the.
yeah,
all of that.
that's done.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen
how
that
it
in
is.
some factory before.
I mean, it's a very small piece of land.
Yeah.
It's only, it's this little triangle ladder. Anything up to look kind of solid and kind of fun, I don't know how you blend it.
Probably put a plant there and you won't even notice. You see it. Not for nothing, anybody, but.
We'll have something.
Yeah, you still have to have something to keep the.
Is that a requirement?
Don't do your deck.
Do we have to make that a
You're
condition or
up
else can we kind of leave the applicant to sort of feel that out, what looks best, nobody's
Yeah,
be that detail. I mean, that's,
We
you
don't, that's a pretty small.
know, that's what I'm saying, it may be one of those things just to kind of gloss over and the applicant figure out what looks good or what
Yeah.
doesn't look good. But that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to nail that kind of, I'm having trouble proceeding. I don't think we all completely.
You don't have to make a motion on that?
No, you just don't include it as a condition.
You just tease me.
Okay, it'll be great.
What are the railings of going down the steps?
They would have to, I'm pretty sure they have to be railings or, I mean, I'm sure we could actually get, clapboard coming down that would match, clapboard coming down would have to have like a hand railing to grab onto, like. Has to be something to grab onto, like code.
Oh, yeah.
So like we would have like, it would be enclosed, right? But then there would be a hand railing, it would have to be a hand railing. for both.
Right.
On the
Probably
inside.
just on the inside, not on the top, most
And it would be
likely.
Fairly wide enough to actually have that. With me.
I don't know, if
I'm
there's only,
kind of picturing like the stairway going down with, instead of the open railings, like having it be clapboard, like how would you do that, like going on diagonal or?
It would be just to match it with what's already going around and then bringing it down.
Yeah, except
But-
this is like at an angle going down, so.
They would cut a 45-degree angle on the clapboard coming down,
Yeah,
but you
I
know,
just don't want it to look like a shoot or something.
railings have to be done very. They have to be coated, so,
There's not one of the other pictures.
okay, why don't we just do hand railings? Hand railings,
They're open.
let's just be the open railings, it'd be so much easier to get the snow off the stairs.
You're thinking
Yeah,
that
the-
open railing to match the handicap.
Yes, that would be perfect, I like
Yeah,
that.
makes
Open
sense.
railings to match handicap ramp, perfect, perfect, couldn't have said it better myself. But Don, you remind me of the way you talk, the way I used to talk.
No.
Is that a compliment or?
House was an obsession. I still like, it was my white whale. Toby Dick, reference,
Good literary reference.
Yes.
Everyone's into that.
yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's. Well, we're trying to do a good job here with this too, so.
All right, so we have a plan for the railing, for the stairs, did you have any,
The roof,
issues about the design of the, I know we talked about how the railings go in. What about the design of the spindles? Does that matter?
we said,
would
keep it simple,
It was very simple, I think, not. too-
Not ornate.
I think I used, rectangular prisms, I don't know if that's a math term, I don't know if that's the correct word to use. But I know the Victorians had those ornate spindles, that's. Not to mention they cost a lot more money.
They are really expensive.
But,
So the point I was making is there. The spindle wants to be captured within the railing.
Not
Fixed externally.
yeah. And, they actually make, like the stringers for them now, you know, where they sit inside.
Yes.
Talking about.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I think those were the only things we had.
And then no trim, like no
No, oh,
extra adornment around your
I was
pillars.
thinking, Like
Are they
fascia, like,
pillars and or how would that be?
remember like fascia like this around.
So you'll have
Could be a
these
pattern on the front.
uprights, I think. Knowing what kind of uprights is appropriate,
I mean, the columns.
the columns, yeah.
Also rectangular prisms, I do like the rounded posts that you have, but I just don't think it would work with this and.
Yeah, they're. Our house has, it's a mix. And it wouldn't be right now.
They would be, like 6x6 columns.
but none of that, what do you call that, like, that scallop trim, I know that's what you're talking about.
The one that we saw in the first around
Just this
that
plain.
goes from here, these would be simple rectangular open.
Pretty much this.
I guess that's
Yeah.
what,
I wanna make
The
sure
plain,
everybody's happy
Not the
with,
scallop, because then you're getting more.
yes, I agree, okay. 6x6, what are
It would all be done to match the existing
Columns.
trim on the windows and doors too.
I'm sorry?
We have window on the windows, trim on the windows and doors. I don't know if it's hard to see, but it's basically, it would all have to match what was already there. Colonial.
Cool.
It's hard to see.
Did we cover every?
There's one other thing, and I don't know if I mentioned, it, we would be putting a gutter across the front, right, catch water coming off the roof for ice, and then it would have a runoff on the left side over here, and we would drop it down into a dry well, you know, just a flow well. We, you know, we'd have to put the water somewhere, and then we just run, or it could run down the front yard, but I'm already working on a flow well in the back, or a back gutter, you know, to catch the water and leak it down the far side of the driveway as opposed to near the house, but water water issues coming off the front porch, we obviously need a gutter. Right there. On the front. So right now, there's a gutter on the garage and on the house. On the back.
Those are the things I noted while you guys all were talking. I think
those are the.
you and I were probably noting the same, at the same time.
I read
Any exception, they mentioned the eventual sleep pathway, any exception to that happening? Or wanting it to be, to return to the commission, or would that be okay if they went with the sleep pathway? I don't have the regulations in front of me as to, with regard to the purview over pathways.
With the last sidewalks and.
I can't recall that side.
Say over there. But
Okay.
I think doing slate would be nice because it would blend into the existing sidewalk.
So I think the commission just determining that they take no exception to that and that staff could sign off on it would be fine with the procedurally fine with me. It's up to the commission to decide whether that's fine.
Less of an issue on.
I know.
It was there originally. I'm reading about this. It does become an issue sometimes.
I can imagine.
Trying to duplicate it on us.
So if you were looking at a home like the Grady's, so I understand what it's like, that originally did not have a porch, that had an add-on porch. It was removed. If they tried to put another porch on, that would be like a more of an issue because it was an original. Interesting.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be like, we just kind of had this same situation about the deck. That was there one time, but it was absent for a long time. And they thought they didn't need approval because it was there sometime, but like for like means what is there now, you're just replicating.
And your concern is what was original. Even if there had been a porch there for one.
I think if the grading house they want to put on the porch, they would try to accommodate. They would have to, when they would all the other porches on the roof. but-
I was just curious, I don't mean to.
Okay.
So I have heard the commission
I have to
comment
and
over
I told
time.
them the history of the porch there and why they had done that. And she was really open to like wanting to do the right thing. And I was thinking, I mean, the house is so beautiful as it is, like without the porch, you see a lot more of the structure. And when I suggested doing the side porch, because they had one of those. It was like a solarium kind of house on this side, which really didn't look appropriate at all. And they were open to doing it, and it really turned out beautiful.
It is really gorgeous. I only was curious because I work with them, so I know her outside of the neighborhood too, and we were talking about this and what the differences would be. And I'm just not sure about how some of this works.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious. I didn't mean to advocate for them to get a porch.
So one of the other things I've heard from the commission over time is that there are houses on the ridge that evolved over time.
Mm.
You know, they might have been built as something, but historically, for many years, they've also had an addition for a couple of hundred years. That wouldn't have maybe been
Right.
put there in colonial times, but it was put there by eighteen hundred.
Right.
And therefore, you know, at what point, you know, so the commission looks at it more holistically, I would
Okay.
say. Is what that's been my experience with them, only a few years or comparatively to most of them on the commission, but.
It's interesting.
Well, does everybody feel that they have some questions? Okay.
Can I ask one more? Is the lattice gonna extend down the side of the ring?
That is a good question. It would be a slope, obviously. Haven't thought of that.
Yeah, a portion of the lower half of the photo is cut off. Can you go to full screen?
I don't think it will. I think it's the bottom of the photo.
No, it's not, no, here.
Oh, it
Uh,
does. I'm sorry.
So, according,
Every time I try to before I flip the page.
according to this, it is open. It wouldn't be hard to put lattice on. We could put lattice on. With lattice, I mean, obviously, it's tapered. But, I
No,
mean,
I know you guys are concerned about the look of the ramp, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely necessary, we get it, but it would look a lot better.
it would look,
Have lattice under it to match the rest.
and would only cost minimal, we're talking about wood lattice that we're gonna put up there for hopefully a long time.
So the whole ramp, the thing is still gonna be the pressure treated and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I think so.
It would be appropriate. But at some point, we would, we would, I guess we'd have to come back to take it down. At some point, we're gonna probably take it down. I mean, I don't wanna take this far ahead, but then we would.
I just went to my mother-in-law's 99th birthday.
So we're just not even gonna talk about this
Thank
issue.
you.
It's not an issue, wood lattice,
Side.
and we're gonna wrap it in gold. So, sounds great.
Watching right now.
Just think of being practical, I know, I'm not trying to be inappropriate.
I know.
Construction.
Over time, we're working towards more and more houses having accessibility regardless if it ends up becoming the norm to have ramps towards one side of a house or another may end up being
Well, we just
a norm.
converted a bathroom into a handicap accessible bathroom, so. It's possible that a permanent ramp would not be the worst thing in terms of the, depending on how nice it looks.
It might be like if you ever move down the road, it might be a selling point.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, if the bathroom is handicap accessible and there's a ramp, it could be, if it looks nice enough, it could be more permanent. but-
And it will. I promise.
Right, if Don really likes to sell his house, then we move. That's what Terrence told his wife. Said, if you ever wanna move, please call me before you call a realtor. She
Well,
said,
if the price
it's
is
not
right.
gonna
you won't
happen.
like
She told him.
Start tapping up the house.
it. Right.
I'm sorry, Lorraine, I interrupted you
Oh.
earlier when you were about to close. I
I
think.
mean, this wheelchair ramp, like, do we really even need lattice on it? Like,
I think
You
it
could
would be
leave it
nicer
to-
than just looking right through it all. To be there and see some of the things.
it's always hard for me to visualize these things.
I know much to add.
It's very cheap.
Right.
Wood lattice is $30.
If we never have it, then like things go under there, it's.
But it's so cheap, wood lattice is so much cheaper than PVC lattice. It's very inexpensive, it's not an issue.
Okay, so. All questions answered?
Then I'll close the hearing, then I'll make a decision.
So we should leave.
No, you're gonna sell.
Nope, it's all public.
No, no, it says secret.
You could watch the video. When you're done.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, so. Are we all fine with this?
So the question now is, what are the conditions?
Yeah.
that we have?
Anybody want my list?
Yeah. I think so. You're-
Good
Carry
notes,
your
huh?
list.
Whoever.
We want to read it then?
She's.
Yeah, I got it.
Uh,
But you know what?
right.
Actually,
Sure.
what I did, I took a picture.
For the import, for the stuffers. That is below. Pediment over the door, triangle to match, so that's the. The centered section. Um, Tapered, half hip is what you call it. Enclosed risers on the stairs. Oh, and that's on the step railing stuff. Oh, step railing only, yeah, that's right, and, you wrote down flat board with railing, but I think
He's gonna do crowd.
Yeah, ultimately, I thought
Going down the
decided it
steps.
would be railing to match the handicap ramp.
Correct.
Oh, on the
Because it's easier
stairs?
for the-
Did I
for
miss
snow.
that? Okay.
It would catch snow too.
But on the porch, it's gonna be clapboard.
Right, just the steps going down.
Columns, rectangular prisms, 6x6 or whatever the appropriate size is. Gutter and, did you really, I didn't hear you say there's one side downspout? That's a pretty long line. One downspout.
That's what they have on the house now. It's-
Really?
Yeah, and then the garage has one too. But the roof is
Wow.
only, the square footage of the roof is, about 240 square feet, so. Maybe not, I think it might be okay.
Just out of curiosity, I'm going to in there that long out of curiosity, you know, really heavy rain, then you get water shedding right over the top of the gutter. That's a standard small leader and not the large leaders that you see on some homes.
And
One
3
foot,
inch.
that's gotta be a 40 foot.
Oh, wait a second, hold on.
I'm just surprised.
Oh, there is two. What am I talking about? I am so
Hard
sorry.
to tell from the photo, but
There is two.
that makes more sense. You would
Okay,
match. that,
so,
right?
yeah, okay, yeah, we probably would need two leaders coming down, and they're both 3 inch, so. Yeah, thank you for, it's the garage that only has one. One on each side.
Oh, you're right, that's one.
So that's exactly with, two leaders, downspouts, slate sidewalk to the house. Complete for steps, oh, you mean that if they
they
decide to
decide to do
change to
that.
something else, we'd let the building department.
Or we could, no, it would do the zoning department, but we would bring it to you if there was something else, but if they wanted to put in slate later, it's fine.
Okay. And lattice along. Ramp, but you need lower ramp. Do you think of anything that,
Did we say that the, porch floor is gonna be good?
that could fit in here?
Participated, I think it's called. The decking.
And of course, the shingles on the roof and which.
Exactly the same.
A lot of stuff to put into the seal.
There'll be the details on it, we can, we don't have to write that all on it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
on that little piece of paper. Yeah.
So that's a motion by, Commissioner Forecast. Correct?
Make a motion to accept this into the record, what I just read into the record.
Wait a
I'll
second.
second.
All those in favor?
Thank you, everyone.
Can I just take a few minutes? I think we have a.
Did you
mapping
close the
website.
hearing first?
Yeah, they.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So we're gonna start on the site where.
So, yeah, just come to the building department before you have to. Best for the permit, take a copy of this. Relabel it as to what. Was agreed upon, and we'll compare it to the motion before we sign off on it. We sign off on the building permit.
This whole idea of the structure, material. People have flashing from inside and outside.
On the
Your
stuff.
contractor may have some things that. different than what you described. You need the building department. They're
Which is-
big on assuring that that water is properly shed. And that's challenging on a porch and enclosed porch in particular. It's tapering everything toward the scuppers, your contractor might. Well, I'd be charging you a lot to do that.
Well, there's a couple things.
I'm only mentioning it because maybe we should talk about what happens if this contractor, if their contractor, or the building department.
Has other ideas.
Yeah, has other thoughts, they would have to come back.
I mean, we.
You guys would be okay with that, and
And,
the
you know,
timing issue would be as challenging as we talked about earlier.
the thing that has to be done for any contractor is code. Building permit, follow the code, and that, you know, that has to be done. you know, Specifically, and any installation of, let's say, scuppers would have to be that. And, the decking itself, you know, there will be, unlike, it will have a little bit of space. Maybe a little, you know, in the decking, it's up, a wooden decking, you know, it's not gonna be like, it has like a 1/4 or something.
Yeah, so you've got to build
Some water, you know,
If we build it with dry lumber and then it's wet, so you have to have some room
some space,
for a little expansion.
but,
So you're thinking that there will be some drain. The
Yeah.
building department may want to build up to that, where you have hopefully a flashing, you know, that completely removes any risk of water coming into the.
yeah, along the sill, like anything.
Yeah.
And it would like, there's. Code is, you know, this is our home, nothing's getting, no stone left unturned. We don't wanna work for, we don't wanna work for me at my house, cause I make sure everything's done, you know.
So my take on that would be that if you bring everything in for your building permit. And you get started and those finished materials, the outside material or something, I mean, the pitch of the. You know, if the decking has to be pitched or something, that of course is gonna have to be dealt with right up front. But if there's something else that comes to be from the building code purposes, as he goes through it, I think you're very likely to have the time. To come to the next meeting to address that, and if you get those drawings done, get them into the building department. They'll be looking at them in a short period of time in which to help you figure out what doesn't work, if something doesn't work for code. So that if there's an issue, you can come back. That would be, that's my
Yeah.
advice.
What's the date of the next, meeting, is it April or something?
The first Monday of the month,
First Monday
unless
of
it's a. Specifically a holiday or something, but I don't think we have a Monday holiday for a very long time. So I have Monday the 1st. Day after Easter.
I mean, like 2 weeks. before.
Okay,
Right,
A little more,
so,
Because they have to post it legally. It's-
so by the, if you could get it to us by the 21st, if something has to be changed. That I did run that 21st,
21st.
maybe, yeah,
they need a couple of weeks. I guess, to get
that's
it
a
out.
Thursday.
I'm sure that's enough.
Yeah, cause we have to send it to the paper on Friday for the paper to run it the following Wednesday. And that's 5 days before the meeting, and that's what the ad has to be run on.
Okay.
All right,
Well, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Very
This
much.
is actually.
How's it,
I'm
you guys have got the
hopeful.
right perspective, but we appreciate it, not everybody does. So,
We
This is
appreciate
actually
it.
really helpful getting your advice, so thank you.
I think Don's an engineer.
I'm retired, but that was what I did for a career.
If you ever decide to go to Florida, give us a call first. Take care, everyone. Take care.
I know it's a little stalker, like, I'm sorry. Funny, but not stalker. Bye.
Okay, so reviewing action of minutes, we need to know in this month's minutes, that's carried over to the next time we meet.
Is somebody to make a motion to postpone the minutes to the next?
Do I have a motion for that?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Okay, so Herb, this is your time. We've been busy.
Whoa. Everybody, or does nobody have a copy of them?
I have it.
Oh, yeah?
I think I put it in with the, I'm good.
Okay.
You did, right? His email, right? It's his email, right?
Well, you have the email, but then.
This is.
Did you print that
Oh, no, this.
for the packet? I thought you did.
It's insane.
Oh, well, this, I just printed out, that's the draft of the plan.
Not that.
We have another.
If I would put, if I had printed it.
Oh, gee.
About that.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
didn't get
have
that.
all
in
the
the- we
trees
didn't get that yet.
that you-
No, I haven't got that far.
No.
Yeah, this,
Maureen with Peter got it.
I got.
Oh, stop.
Oh, I could have done.
okay, yeah. well,
It's been put in me by others. I'm sorry, Herb, so what am I looking for? And I'll put it on the screen. The draft.
Oh, just the draft of the plan.
I think so.
We're all set?
Yeah.
So, this stab at the Boulevard Tree Program. I'm supposed to be part of the Finance Board's workshop a week from today. So we really need to do something with this tonight, so I can put together a budget and have something to talk about. Budget workshop next week.
So can I just comment that I think we probably, and I know I'm jumping ahead of Herb and I don't want to do that. But I do kind of want to put a broad perspective on. So tonight is the first of the budget hearings upstairs with the town council. You know, the budget presentation, rather, the budget presentation. And it seems like there's probably a lot of legwork still to do with regard to approvals and this besides just the monetary section. So I'm not sure whether, I didn't get through all the emails because I just got them the other day, and was working on other items for the meetings this week. But, so Herb's had great conversations, has reached out to a number of people in town, but we also know we need to vet it through a bunch of processes and figure out what trees, how many, where, what, the approval process is. Right, but it may be before it can get in the budget. So, well, I also didn't get the chance to talk to Kevin. Kevin forwarded me the emails, but
Right.
I didn't get to talk to him about it.
When I
He's the
talked-
budget director.
When I talked to Kevin, he said if I could present something and the committee, the district committee was in favor of it, it's possible that they could make a spot in the budget for us. And we could-
So how progressed is this work? They're using the term workshop. Is this preliminary look at the budget, or is it just an idea generator, or are they looking for?
No, the
Or
budgets
data?
have all been, submitted, thank you, to the finance department and are starting to be presented to town council. And then they'll go to the Board of Finance, who's looking at the proposed budgets from each department. And we'll be going through those budgets. So, and that's not to say,
Or does this have quite a bit of fidelity in them, right? Is that what you're saying? I mean, they're presenting
right,
those budgets as preliminary final numbers, whatever. I don't know.
right,
Okay.
right. So, yeah,
It's gonna be
so.
hard for us to do that.
So again, Kevin is the finance director and has a lot to say. He's,
Okay, we have to crash this out though tonight. And I'm a believer in an hour meeting and we're on to our second hour. So, I borrowed a lot from the town of Eau Claire in Wisconsin, since I saw their plan online, and it was pretty well thought out. And I called up the head forester in Eau Claire. Eau Claire is a bigger city in Berlin. It's a city of about 70,000, and we're a town of about 20, I think. But they have a head of forestry, and he said they've had a boulevard tree program between for 40 or 50 years. So they really have had a chance to work this out. In their program, they have designated project areas and non-project areas. And they have a program for each one. The designated project area. If you submit an application, fill out a form, you can get 2 trees planted in the verge of the curbside, which is the town's zone, not the homeowner's zone, you know, between the sidewalk and the curb, that's the town's problem. So we can, it's citizens. State. And
That's a certain purpose, I know that question, I don't know. Maureen, did you see
but
the note?
I'm on a schedule here, so.
Okay. So we'll assume that is the case.
Yes, please. So, you can fill out a form and you can get 2 trees planted by the town expense, in your curbside area. That's if you live in a project area. If you live in a non-project area, you can get a $60 rebate for any tree use plan. As long as you meet all the town requirements and you have it approved by the town's tree warden and anybody else that has to approve it. Anyhow, that's how they do it. Whether we want to do that or not, we want to designate, but the idea of having a rebate program for people who live in a non-project area is kind of a response to the what about me residents. You know, so it is inclusive in that regard. And it's almost $50. For them. So, now, I had to roll it up special so I can read it, and I still can't read it, so I still have to read it and find it.
You want us to read it?
I also have it on the screen if anyone
Oh,
wants
I-
to look up at it. I know that won't
Yeah.
work for her, but.
Not for me. So anyhow, they have 3 short, so if you're selecting your tree, a resident selecting your tree, they have 3 short lists of trees that are acceptable to them. They have large trees, medium-sized trees, and small trees. Small trees are, suitable enough so they can be planted around power lines. They're less than 25 feet tall, and, they're acceptable, at least to the city of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, to be planted near power line. And I have a sample of what they have for a tree list, if anybody's interested in. They're similar to our climate, they're a little bit colder. We're planting zones 6 and 7, and, we're planting, they're planting zone 4 and 5, and we're planting zone 6 and 7. So we're a little bit warmer than they are, but their trees are good. I just point out on their list, they're very big on hybrid elm trees. You know, the elm trees were wiped out by Dutch elm disease many years ago. And now they have hybrids which were crossed with Asian elm trees, which are very resistant to Dutch elm. And elm trees, Dutch elm disease aside, will grow where no other tree will grow. So they're very adapted to that harsh roadside environment. So, and depending on how much space you have between your sidewalk and the curb, it's how big of a tree you can plant. They have a list of it, I didn't do it, but it's less than 5, nothing will be planted. It's between 5 and 8 feet. A medium-sized tree can be planted, and if it's 8 feet or more, you can have a large tree planted. And let's see, and they have regulations, rules about the safety. In this program, final approval will be given by the tree warden, who's Kevin Carr, who's the head of our highway department.
Steve Carr,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Steve Carr. That's all right. I just wanted it on the record.
And, you know, and for us, somebody from the from our commission. Have to approve it. And we have to take into consideration, we have to, somebody has to call before you dig. We have to take into consideration of the power, where the utilities are, where the water feed is. You know, the electrical feed into the house and the gas line, all that stuff. So, but that's not the homeowner's problem, that's our problem. We have to make suggestions on, maybe we were there.
So would there be, we're not just unilaterally making these decisions about what we plan, because I
The
know,
homeowner does.
well, what if, okay, so the homeowner would have to approach us and say they want to participate.
They fill out the form and they get approval.
Oh, so we're not like forcing a tree on somebody.
This is
Because-
completely voluntary.
Okay, because I have had some people comment saying, well, I don't want a tree because I have a great work.
Yeah, no, this is completely voluntary. They have to fill out the form, submit an application. We have to accept the application. They have to, somebody has to meet with them. They give us the area where they want to plant the trees, and then we tell them where they can plant the tree. And my neighbor is a lawyer for Eversource. So I asked him about what's Eversource's part in this. And he said that Eversource does not want to help locate where these trees would go. But the tree warden, I'm sure you already know, we have to be aware of what Eversource's zone is. They can come in, they have an area around the power line that's theirs to maintain. So in that area, they can trim anything and they can cut anything down. So we have to be aware of what their space is, so our trees don't end up in their space. But they aren't gonna tell us where to plant the tree. You're not gonna tell the homeowner where to plant the tree. They'll just deal with them with chainsaws and clippers if they need to, but we don't want that. So that's part of our placement consideration.
Can I ask a question that I think you answered when I was looking for this? I'm sorry, so I could share it, but where are the trees gonna go? On the people's lawn, on private property? Within-
On the verge, which is the space between the sidewalk and the curb, where all the boulevard trees were planted years ago.
Okay, so
They
what
can
you're
do whatever
looking
they want on
for,
their property.
you're looking for them to be in what we call the snow shelf, generally speaking. You know, that's what's called the snow shelf between the curb and the sidewalk. And I think part of that conversation also will include review by certain town agencies as to their locations, or at least the program made for the locations. In part because of the maintenance, as you all know, the trees have come down that were causing problems, and, you know, most notably the one Commissioner Ford Cash brought to our attention near his house, near his front step, near the front steps in front of his house. And the Planning and Zoning Commission, generally speaking, looks at trees. We were trying today without enough time to look through the process. You know, if it was a new subdivision, it was a new road. Planning and Zoning Commission has a list of trees that are acceptable and vet through the trees as well. So, and the location. So there's a number of steps that may not only include the homeowner.
Well, this is gonna involve the homeowner, the tree warden, and the historic district commission, and the utility companies from our utility line.
Yeah, I might include the Planning and Zoning Commission too, as well as town council, because it's town property.
Right.
Town council having to see anything that goes on is done on their property.
I'm sure we're gonna take into consideration too, the weeds that might uproot and the sidewalks that are.
Well, again, that has to do with our tree selection.
Okay.
So we can't let people select shallow rooted trees. But again, that's right for tonight, the trees, the minimum tree size is 1.5 caliber, which is a large container plant. We were probably want to plant 2 to 2.5 inch caliber trees. That's measures. That's about the size that we can plant with minimal equipment.
Urbans, not familiar with the term, for
Yeah.
weeds for that, is that like diameter?
It's,
Diameter
it's-
of the tree trunk
right,
above the root flare.
Okay,
So
So-
that,
that's what I thought.
in the nursery business,
is the measurement between them.
Mhm.
in the nursery business, that's 1.5 inch caliber tree is a very large container tree. 2 inch, 2.5 inch trees, they're long burlap trees, weigh between 100 and 200 pounds.
So-
So.
But so if it was a subdivision, they,
This wouldn't go in a subdivision.
no, if it was a subdivision, so that's what the regulations we have in place talk about new trees being planted as street trees. We have provisions in the subdivision regulations that speak to trees, street trees.
Okay.
All trees shall be nursery stock, balled and burlapped, and shall be a minimum of 2.5 inches in caliper. So I'm providing that for comparison to propose.
Okay,
So,
we would
so
go
why?
a little smaller,
um, and,
just for cost, and lots of
cost.
times a small tree will outgrow a big tree. Just because there's less transplant shot.
I'm surprised they have Norway maple on this because now they're considering.
Oh.
that an
I have to run down the hall for 1 second.
But again, this isn't our list,
Oh.
this is Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Maybe they're not up on their list of those machines.
Which one?
Norway maple would be a horrible tree.
The Norway maple?
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's,
There's the way down in Buck Water.
and I think they're very shallow rooted too, but
They
it's
are,
problematic.
again, this, I'm not worrying about the tree list tonight.
Okay,
Because when we're ready to pull the trigger on this, or if I get approval, we get approval on it, then I'll talk to the state forester. About what the best trees are.
so what do you need from us tonight?
Just to say if this plan is what we wanna do. I mean, it could be, and this plan, you have to have a curb. If you don't have a curb, it doesn't apply to you, because again, this is a street tree, boulevard tree program. And we don't need boulevard trees in the back roads and the rural roads and the country roads in town. This is for the main roads, in the main section of town, like the historic district or Main Street, East Berlin. Or maybe Farmington Avenue if there wasn't so much concrete and pavement.
So you really need a sidewalk then.
If you have a curb and don't have a sidewalk, we just take into consideration the width of the town right away. But this is on the town, these are trees planted as they used to be planted, right on the street. On the edge of the street on the town's property. Anybody can still do whatever they wanna do in their own yard.
Well, I like the idea that they have to apply for it, so it's not like we're forcing this on people.
And I think, the highway department, the tree warden said that his group could do the planning, but I think we have to limit this. Just to keep the cost of it reasonable for the budget committee, and not to overwhelm this group.
So you don't have any idea of the cost yet?
Well, the trees, I requested a wholesale price catalog from Northern Nurseries. Today, a company I used to do business with, and I can think the town highway department, they have a nursery, they have to deal with American. The wholesale prices and a tree we're talking about is in the $200, $250 price range, I think. Been out of the business for a few years, so, and, Mr. The finance director wants me to, get a price on the town's labor. So it'll be probably a multiple of the cost of the tree. You know, is it equal, is it double the cost of the tree? But,
A couple of years ago, all of a sudden, like all these new trees got planted and I was mostly aware of it because they planted 2 or 3 trees on the grounds of the meeting house.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, who did that? Like, nobody told us that that was gonna happen. And well, I think the town planted them, but I think it was some business donated them. I forget what the whole story was.
So I do think that, a couple of years ago, when some trees came down and there were some other issues with trees. A couple of neighbors wanted to have trees taken down because of where they were in proximity to their house or whatever. The departments started communicating. So for instance, I don't know that the tree warden or someone in Public Works perhaps was knowledgeable as to the purview the historic district had on streetscape in the historic district. So I think that gap has been closed or at least narrowed considerably to there's communication now and everybody, there's much more communication to go to the planning office because you might have to go to historic district or how do the historic regs settle in. We also have the times where there's grant money or something available that falls into a department and, you know, this is, you know, a great idea, you know, but maybe goes to town council. But does it get looped back around through the historic district as well? And, you know, we are striving to always be in communication with each other to close that gap. So hopefully, future will be that they won't get planted without the historic district being
Yeah. I mean,
knowledgeable
from that
of it.
line, I was just kind of
Right.
surprised, like, where do they come from?
So there was, and I think most of you are aware, but a few months back, we discussed the fact that there's the ability for the Historic District Commission to form a tree committee for, and that's a, you know, would be one of their charges is this tree committee or the oversight, I guess, in here you have, needs to be approved by the district commission. So, you know, is that by virtue of forming the committee, or is it we'll wait to the next application period and go on to the commission to be on the agenda? You know, what that process would look like would have to be determined as well. Again, I just go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission does have a list of trees in the subdivision regs that have been determined to be appropriate trees in the climate and tolerant. I don't know when the last time they were reviewed. I think it was while I think Helen had it updated during her tenure. So that would be from the early 2000s to 2017, somewhere in that window. However, we all know there's diseases every year, you know, as Herb said, you know, now we, you know, does that list perhaps
Yeah.
need to
right now,
not be matching, but at least be,
for tonight, the list
consistent.
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
The list will be a list of selected trees, and that's all we need to discuss tonight.
so this is staying in draft form, you're not looking for approval of
Well,
this, you're
I
looking
don't
for
have a list,
support.
we have a list and will to be determined, but just the scope of it, the idea of calling separate, have two programs, one for non-target areas, one for target areas. Requiring that you have a curve to do this. And, and also limiting the project to a certain amount of trees per year. What's reasonable? Is it 40 trees per year? Is it 25 applications? Is it, you know, because if the highway department is gonna plant the trees, I really don't want to overburden them.
So
Well, do you
if
think
we could, if the budgetary estimate could be displayed as a factor of that variable, maybe how much budget is available to answer that
Well,
question.
that's why I want to make it on a per tree basis. You know, the tree costs $200 and the installation and the maintenance, I guess. The inclination is to have the town maintain them for a year, which means water, fill a bucket of water every week, for the season. And how much, you know, if everybody says this is okay, I can run with this, then I'll go see, the tree ward and ask him how much tree should be, what is.
Do you think we should concentrate on just the historic district?
I thought that's what we were. We just.
Yes.
Historic district.
Well,
I think you only, well, go ahead, you have your conversation.
We wanted, or they wanted this town to be referenced to avoid the what about me thing. So there is a provision
yes,
outside of the target areas.
yes,
So people don't think there's.
Right.
Well, I think that was a reason.
yes.
So-
Eliminating that might not be a good idea.
Okay, I won't keep it.
So
You know what I'm saying?
eliminating what?
Eliminating the provision outside of the historic district for.
Right, so my thought, and again, I didn't have time to read through all this stuff, it just did not at that time. But the historic district having this program for the historic district, the P O C D identifies the historic district as something to be enhanced both for its public perception and, you know, I think you all know what the P O C D says on it, and I'm drawing a big blank. But we've targeted that there to promote things that would help the historic district become more of a destination. And budget wise, again, without talking to Kevin, but talking to others and having conversation with in the department and Public Works, is that if it's in the historic district budget, then it's a program of the historic district. You know, that may be the place it belongs, and that's why not me, you're not in the historic, your house is not in the historic district.
I really
You
thought that's
know.
what this was started for, because all those trees were taken down
Yeah.
according to Ridge. I didn't realize, I don't think it's a good idea to start making this open to the whole town, because they're gonna people go, hey, you can do some landscaping in my yard, give me 2 trees.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I think that this.
Well, again, it isn't somebody's yard, it's in the town's curbside zone.
But they can benefit from it.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
And the whole goal here, I thought, was to beautify or replace the trees that people were unhappy about being taken down on the road. So I would feel more comfortable
So
keeping
just
it
make
to
it
the
a
ridge, keeping it to the ridge. And when you think about 2 trees, and this is just a thought, but maybe the frontage of the yard, one's larger that can justify 2 trees versus a smaller frontage that's from the sidewalk to the curb would get 1 tree.
I know the people too. It's too, I don't want to give any special treatment to the people with bigger yards.
The truth is, most of that verge is probably close to 5 feet. I don't think there's a lot of room.
I
It'd
think,
be the smaller trees. that would-
Yeah, well, I mean, half the ridge has power lines on it, so it's gonna be half the ridge is gonna be smaller trees.
I'm okay if you do it to the ridge. And then people.
The ridge or the district itself,
The
the whole,
This is the district.
to the district, okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
So one of the other, ways, you know, and again, I go back to subdivision regulations, zoning regulations, that's the thought process for adding street trees that is my experience, is a minimum distance apart. So that may be what,
Well, there is,
kind of somewhat dictates the spacing of
there is space.
whether someone has one tree or two is, you know, a minimum, the distance to, so as not to perhaps create a hedge, instead create a street trees, in keeping with street trees that run the gamut. Now, given the parameter of this of being an application process, one of the other thoughts we brainstormed was the, you know, how you prioritize the who, the where on the ridge, you know, so, you
First
know,
come, first
not,
served on the application.
and that, that resolves the question we had, because we had, you know, we didn't think you'd want to start at one end and go to the other. These
Yeah.
trees are big by the time you get to the other end, kind of wanted to do a one for one kind of thing across the length of the ridge, but the applications on a first come basis. The other thing we wondered that to approach Lorraine as our resident expert on, sort of, is whether there might be the ability to get grant money. Do you think there's a source for us to approach that might
You know, I
do
do
something
something again too, because we're, CLG, certified legal government status, and they do have grants there for different things like putting markers up, and like having historic walking tours, doing booklets. They may have trees in there, I'll have to look at it again. But they're kind of limited to 10,000. You know, for a grant. But you don't have to match it or anything, it's like outright.
which is always a positive with the finance department. Or the board, yeah.
I know, like most
Um,
grants, they want you to match it.
Yeah,
This
it's
was
a
a
tough
little-
ask. Have you heard of anything through Reservation Connecticut, through the National Historic Districts, anybody else? I mean, again, this is brainstorming
I
from
can
my
look into it.
standpoint as far as financing goes, and is very likely the type of question that the finance board may ask. Have you explored other options for financing? And well, that's,
It was funny, were you saying that? You know, they said they'd find the money for it,
They could find money.
yeah.
no, it's their prerogative, too, I think, is the,
Um,
not that they
they
would.
were committing to like.
No, because he's had a conversation with the director, not the board itself has to vet through something itself. And, you know, but perhaps that there's,
I did ask him if there was any infrastructure money for,
Hmm,
and he said they had one program that was, they would pay for tree removal and tree trimming, but not tree planting.
The rough cut, if you're up the, 250 wholesale per tree. Simple labor, the material, that's 500 bucks a tree.
Times 40, so.
And if you started with, 40 as an example, so you're looking at $20,000 land budget, and it's not. I guess it could be considered huge, but.
Yeah, that's a lot. If you cut it to 20 trees, then it's 10. So like you said, having on a per tree basis is a good idea. So if you give me the go ahead, I'll talk to the tree ward and see what he's willing to do. and see how he wants to handle, because a lot of it's gonna fall on his shoulders and his department shoulders.
Do
should we make a
you
motion?
know how many properties are in the historic district? Anybody have a clue? I don't recall any longer.
It's a pretty large number.
118, maybe,
Maybe
something like that. Used to.
So low hundreds, we think somewhere in the low 100s times eventual 2 trees. But it only 40 or 80 to start.
Yeah, maybe 40 trees to start. say.
40 trees to start,
Yeah.
so 20, figure
Applications,
20
yeah.
of the properties, so. Figuring the duration. Of the initial program. At 5, 6 years. 6 or 7, okay,
Which I think
5,
everybody wants. Whatever.
yeah,
Yes.
you know, once you start seeing them going in, then.
Yes.
That's, yeah, and that's the goal, is it
Yeah.
not? You know, is to recreate the canopy, right,
Right.
kind of thought
And if
process.
we treat it on an annual basis, we can always pull the plug on it. If something goes wrong, that this
The
isn't
trees
working
die.
out.
And so I know, I'm just trying to wrap myself around the time, the distance, the number of trees that are being sought in the long run.
Well,
You
we
know, or
don't
the
know how many
scope
people
of the
we don't
project.
want.
But I think that I would suggest that the historic district determine their goal for what they're looking to accomplish.
Our goal is to replace the 50 or 100 trees that have been removed in the last 50, 60 years that haven't been replaced. You know, we're not, I don't think our goal is to have tree-lined streets again. But a lot of trees, at least in my time here, whether it's 50 or 60 or 70. That were here when I moved in 45 years ago are gone now, and nothing's been planted in their place.
You would think, oh, no, it's not the homeowner, because that's not their property. Right? Because all these trees
Right.
that have come down are on town property.
Yes,
So what is the remedy? And again, I might have missed it. And you're talking and me stepping out. Is the remedy if, so we have a homeowner proposing a tree. And are proposing the program, you know, applying for the program, that's what I'm looking for, they've applied for the program. But the tree warden, in conjunction with Public Works and whomever. Says that's not an appropriate place for a tree. What happens to that application? Or how do we
Sorry.
provide?
we're sorry, we
Fairness.
can't plant a tree there. Yeah, well, we have,
Okay, that's what I need to know, what
We have-
the,
you know, these guidelines, is that you have to have at least 5 feet of space between the sidewalk and the curb. And then you have to have certain distances from the utilities buried in the ground. Because you don't want to have your sewer leak 20 years from now and have to cut down the tree to get at the sewer line. So there'll be some people that can't, as much as they might want to, can't take advantage of this.
is there anything in here with regard to sight lines at intersections or driveways?
There's a map that Eau Claire, Wisconsin has, which I can, we can make our Berlin version of it.
Did they have any type of disclaimer if the trees don't make it? I don't like what happens if you take it back to Home Depot and they'll give me another one. I don't think that's not.
Yeah.
happening here, is it?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, there probably be a replacement,
Do they-
as long as I mean, it's up to the town, we'd have to include that in the cost.
The places that you already looked at, do they have that in there? As far as
Oh,
the
trees sold wholesale, there's no guarantee.
But I mean, the other towns that do this, do they have anything in there
They,
about
they,
tree
re-
survival, the
No.
rate, you know, the.
they just plant them as well as they can, and if they die, they replace them.
I think the having done a fair amount of planting, the fact that in most cases it's severely sloped surfaces, that more challenging than flat. Because typically the distance, the height distance between the road and the sidewalk is
Yeah,
probably
So the grading,
over 5 feet.
Looks
Yeah,
like-
And then you got the snowplow.
that's just, I don't try to plant on slopes. It's
Yeah.
tough. I keep water.
It's doable, I mean,
But
you've got one, you've got a stump on your slope, don't you?
yes, we could cover
Yeah.
it now.
Oh, is the
So-
town responsible, let's say Don wants to put a tree right where that one is right now, is the town responsible for taking out that stump?
You know, there was
Replanting?
something a while ago after they took down those trees, because I know our powers was lobbying for the like stumps left there. And the finance department found funds to do that, but they weren't gonna do them all at once. And I haven't really paid attention to which ones they dug up yet.
they've been working their way through it and that's.
I
where
made
Don
an
is-
inquiry, and for the two that are there, they said they try not to come out for one or two. But they are making a list of where additional trees have been on this spring, they will come out. I didn't get any detail on how that occurred, but he did say
It's on.
there were a lot of
Public Works
complaints.
has been working on it.
that it's okay, it's bad enough to cut it down, but for God's sakes, at least clean up the stump
Yeah,
too.
especially with the storm.
And so it sounds like you understand how that came about, the solution came about, but they are doing
Might get it complaint. Oh,
it. Yeah, that's right.
So
no, I don't know, that's,
I don't
because
want
he's
this
pretty,
meeting to go on
obvious.
forever.
Yeah.
Well,
We've already made it forever.
this is my meeting, but,
Hey,
P and Z goes until one.
I know.
I
Nothing.
know, I could never be in a minute.
Pretty rough.
Because leaves. So do we need a motion to ask her to,
Before we do that, I'd like to make just one more suggestion, and I'll just shut up. I think if we can define the criteria for do's and don'ts well, we can pick ourselves out of the approval process. What I heard before just sounds so bureaucratic, typical bureaucracy. Let's try and do this in a way where, if your criteria is defined, which you can do, has to be within these brackets. And there's stuff down here you absolutely cannot do, even if it's within the brackets. And if we can define that in a way that is readable by the average person, then we don't need to be in an approval process. They've met all the criteria. The town has looked at it and said that, you know, clearance to the utilities is good, distance from the street. What are we actually gonna approve? What would-
No,
I
maybe
think what-
just for the knowledge, just like Lorraine said, there was one time, there's like two trees put over in front of the meeting, now she didn't know anything about it, I don't, is it something that we just wanna be aware of that they're doing, or do we need to know what the tree is, I mean, if we.
What if we give them a list of trees or the specific conditions that are good? And we don't need to know, it's a tree on the list that we've already said it's an okay selection.
so from the administrative standpoint, and I know I'm the bureaucrat, here we go.
No.
However, I think what we're talking, or what I'm hearing and suggesting, I guess, suggesting again, qualified suggestions here, is that the parameter, the program be owned by the Historic District Commission. It's it's something, if it's gonna be in the Historic District Commission's budget, if it's gonna be, the guidelines are gonna be set out by the Historic District, going through the vetting process of what the application process is and looks like, and coordinates it with those other departments that it needs to be coordinated with. You go, the bureaucratic part from what I was talking about earlier, is it going through that bureaucratic process at the forefront of setting up the program? But then the application likely be administered, because the planning and zoning office is the liaison for the historic district, either through our office or through, which I think is probably the better way to go. The tree warden doesn't have an office, he's out being tree warden. You know, he probably has an office. He doesn't have a public office in this building where the applications come to us.
So if
We
your point is
vet
that
them.
as a commission, we should own it with whatever own it means, but
Mhm.
we should set it up in a way with all the criteria defined so that it's ready to launch. I'd be all.
So
in.
that you're not,
But-
and it would be up to the commission whether they'd want to see each application. Or get a summary of the applications at your next meeting. These are the applications that came through, got approved because they were approved, or had a question, we bring them to you.
Visibility is a good thing. I just think
I-
being in the approval process, if we define what is and is not acceptable and it meets that, what are we actually approving? I mean, they're in with all, it's in all the brackets that we've defined, but knowledge of it is not a bad thing.
I
I
thought for tonight we were just giving. her
Yeah. I
Approval
didn't
to
want-
like proceed.
Yeah.
To
That's right.
support the program, the
Yeah.
concept of the program under basic, what I'm hearing, or rather what if you're gonna move forward, I'd suggest maybe under these parameters are strictly a draft that need to be, honed, fine, yeah, embedded through all the right process, but what what you might be saying is, but proceed to the next step of this is the general guidelines, but not specificity at this point.
I can make it more specific, and I just feel guilty dumping this all on the tree warden, so I'd be glad to help him out on, just double checking, answering some phone calls.
So I think that's where they have to come, again, I haven't talked to Steve, who's that person, but we're the one that has a public phone
I
number.
think I asked this question once before. Is Steve's only job the tree warden, or is he like a director who's been designated?
Oh, he's the director of the highway.
Okay, I was gonna say he's the director. Okay.
So
But,
it's
so,
Well, you know, I'm saying, if he has nothing else to do but be tree warden, this is fine, but if he's a director of public works, yeah,
not public works.
public
He's-
highway
he's
division.
The highway, but tree warden, because it is a mandated
That's under state
position.
statute, yeah.
Yeah, the mandated
Oh,
position,
yeah.
so he has that as a
not
specific
doing that
portion
duties.
of his job that
Oh, it's
are
defined as,
somewhat separated from his highway job. Like
Understood.
it's
understood.
another thing that he is.
And,
He is the tree warden
Understood.
under
that
statute.
zone is his zone. That space between the
Mm.
sidewalk and the curb,
Yeah,
that's
that makes
his
sense.
property.
The town's property.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's his
Right,
property.
it's the town's right of way.
So,
Under his.
trees and
purview.
branches and things.
Between the highway, you
Trees.
said between the highway and the public sidewalk. If there, or
Yeah.
if there's not, then the.
Because it's the right of way.
Or
It's
the
the
right of way, whatever it is.
The right of way.
I'm just, I was just curious about the tree.
So
warden.
my understanding is he oversees that area as the highway guy. But then is the tree warden
Exactly.
as a separate task he's been dubbed the tree warden. He could easily not be him as the
We could
tree
just hire
warden,
tree warden.
and there could
Yes, no.
actually be another
That's
tree
right.
warden, another person that's tree warden, that's not in the.
I had a feeling that
department.
he had another job, much more significant job, but, sounds like it,
Yeah.
I mean, if there, other towns do it differently, just curious.
I was gonna say, some people are merely a part-time position in
Sure.
the town or a stipend type position, so, which I guess that. There is a stipend that is assigned to that portion of this.
Okay, so getting back to. her.
Yeah.
What the-
We should approve my own plan.
Sure.
Do we need a motion to do this?
Well, no, so it's
To authorize you her to do what exactly?
So I keep going.
With your plan, I make that
Come
motion.
back to the commission so we can find.
I'll talk to Steve this week and get a price per tree on what he wants to charge. This town for planting trees and. I can talk to the Connecticut forester and find tune a list and. Way back when my college degree was the closest thing UConn had to forestry.
Back when it was $100 a semester.
No, it was
free for you, because he was right, that's right.
They didn't have a
Not for me.
forestry.
Yeah, for me.
They weren't accredited because they didn't have enough forest land.
Oh, my God.
but they have a forest major.
Well, I make a motion to authorize you her to carry out your plan at this point, and to report back at the next regular meeting.
And my own personal opinion, but I don't think we should have a meeting once in a while where we don't have a seal with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Well, second,
I was-
okay, a second.
Everybody in favor.
Aye.
I'm not saying her.
So to have a meeting,
huh?
Not
Well, a lot
saying
of
you're
times
saying
we
have to get
just
this.
we don't have a
no.
hearing.
there's no why we drag it.
You know, it's mostly like, because Maureen was so overburdened.
Yeah, I see the other thing too, is this is the staff right now for this whole department. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
it's tough.
it's a lot to ask.
But
to have a meeting
sometimes
for
you
no
need,
reason.
and like tonight, like, this was a lot to talk about on top of the hearing. And there's probably lots of other cool things we could be doing if we took time to discuss it.
Oh, just a funny thing, last time nobody seemed to know what the fine was for the avoidance.
Oh,
And it's on the town fee schedule. What violence violations, the fee is $150. We don't know what's going on.
I have to defer to them.
And according to the
No,
whitelist
don't.
ordinance, you have a year to comply. You know, you have to make a deal with the town manager, what you're gonna do, you have to tell you what needs to be corrected.
Is he on
And
the
and then you have, yes, they have a year to comply, and after a year, you start getting $150.
right, okay. Let him know this.
But anyhow,
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
Do
is
we
there
have
a
a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Second.
I'll go second.
The time is 9:22.
I think we stay